All right, let's just jump right in. What if we could completely redesign our world, right from scratch? Today, we're going to unpack a super detailed, pretty radical blueprint for a global civilization that's run by a totally new kind of artificial intelligence. I mean, this thing reimagines everything, our daily lives, the global economy, you name it. And it's all laid out in some incredibly comprehensive documents.
So, let's kick things off with a simple question, a little thought experiment. Imagine if every single positive thing you did, I'm talking everything from learning a new skill to, just recycling a plastic bottle, was instantly seen, scored, and rewarded. What if the value you actually bring to society was the #1 thing that defined you? Because really, that's the absolute core of the idea we're digging into. It's this vision of a new civilization where your contribution, your positive impact, is the real currency. It's not about what you own or how much you buy. It's about what you give back. So the big question is, how on earth would a world like that actually function?
Okay, so first up, let's talk about what this would actually feel like for you day to day. The whole system is basically designed to turn your life into, well, a sort of game. But it's a game where the goal isn't just to win for yourself, it's to contribute, to add value to the whole.
Let's make this real with a simple example. Picture this. You grab a shared bike to get to work. A little AI on the bike is keeping track of your trip, not just how far you went, but how efficiently you rode. The second you dock that bike, boom, your action is verified and you instantly get a reward. These merit credits, which are basically the currency of this new world, they pop right into your universal profile. It's this constant, real-time feedback loop for all the good stuff you do, no matter how big or small.
Okay, so for a system like this to even work, every single person needs a way to, well, exist inside of it. You can think of it like your player profile in this grand game. It's called your Sovereign Digital Identity, or DID for short, and it's literally the key to how you interact with everything.
Now this DID, it's not just some single score, like a credit score. No, it's way more complex. It's a full-on, multi-dimensional profile that's tracking different parts of who you are and what you contribute. You've got your intellectual score, your moral score, health, economic, the whole shebang. And here's the kicker. These scores have real-world consequences. We're talking about things that could affect your job prospects, where you get to live, all of it.
All right, I know what you're probably thinking. Privacy, right? In a world that tracks so much, what happens to your personal information? Well, the system is designed to tackle this head-on with a two-layer identity. First, you've got your public layer. This is the stuff you want people to see. Think of it like a superpowered LinkedIn profile, with your skills and reputation scores. But then, there's a completely separate, private vault. This is where the really sensitive stuff lives. Medical records, financial details, all heavily encrypted. And the rule is simple. That data goes nowhere unless you give explicit, temporary permission. You are always in control.
So we've got the players and their profiles, but what's the actual tech that makes this whole thing tick? Let's peel back another layer and look at the game engine running this whole civilization. We're talking about a global AI that's so integrated, it's described as being like a nervous system for the entire planet. And listen, this is not just a souped-up version of the AI we know today. Not even close. The blueprint lays out a fundamentally new type of AI called Living Artificial Intelligence, or LAI. It's a total shift from how we think about computing. Instead of being based on ones and zeros, it's grounded in the laws of physics, things like resonance and coherence. The whole point is to create a system that's naturally stable, incredibly adaptive, and, well, just more in tune with how the universe actually works.
So, the billion-dollar question, right? How do you make sure an AI with this much power doesn't go rogue? The answer in this blueprint is to bake in an ethical mandate that can't be changed. It's not just a suggestion, it's not a policy, it's hardwired into the very core of its being, a fundamental law that it must act in humanity's best interest, always.
And how does this AI keep track of trillions of actions all at once? Well, it uses something called the Neural Exchange Protocol. The easiest way to wrap your head around it is to think of it like a universal language for actions. It takes everything you do, that bike ride we talked about, or a huge business negotiation, and turns it into a single, secure, verifiable packet of data that the whole system can understand and score. Now, having all that infrastructure in place allows for what might be the single biggest change this whole blueprint proposes. We're talking about completely redefining what economic progress even means. It's about changing the high score for civilization itself, shifting from a game of consumption to a game of creation.
And you can see that shift crystal clear right here. For decades, our main metric for success has been GDP, gross domestic product, which is basically a measure of how much stuff we make and buy.
This new system throws that out the window and replaces it with GIPX, the Global Intelligence product. This doesn't measure consumption, it measures contribution. It tracks our collective intelligence, our health, our ability to bounce back from problems. The entire economic engine of society flips from buy more to create more value.
Of course, you can't have a game this massive without some rules and some referees. So who's in charge? Who makes the calls? This brings us to the final and maybe most critical piece of this entire blueprint, how it's all governed. The idea here is to move past our current political systems into something more transparent and driven by data, with AI helping out. And one of the most fascinating concepts is weighted voting. So, instead of one person, one vote for everything, your vote carries more weight in areas where you have proven expertise. Think about it. An actual climate scientist would have more say on environmental policy than me, and a surgeon would have more influence on healthcare decisions. It's about letting the experts lead in their fields. And this governance model is laid out in 4 distinct tiers. At the very top, you have the RTO-8, which is a council of just 8 planetary stewards. Think top scientists, ethicists, people like that. Their job is to be the ultimate guardians of the system's core values. Below them, you've got the World High Council, which is the main human lawmaking body. And then, backing them up, are 2 AI layers. A global AI to manage universal stuff, and then local AIs to handle city-level decisions and make sure cultural differences are respected.
So, when you put all these pieces together, the merit scores, the digital IDs, this new kind of living AI, an economy based on contribution, and that whole 4-tiered government, what do you get? Well, the documents themselves sum it up with a pretty powerful phrase: a cognitive operating system for civilization. So let's step back. After looking at this entire, incredibly detailed vision, what are we left with? Is this a genuine blueprint for a kind of utopia? A world where we're all working together, perfectly in sync, to solve humanity's biggest problems? Or is it the ultimate system of control? A world where every single thing you do is watched, measured, and judged? The blueprint is there, but what it would actually become? Well, that's the question we're all left with.